controls the world? Money, power, people. Money is pretty clearly, you trace that rabbit hole up to the banks, up to the banking families. That's a long storied history. It goes through things like the Rothschild banking family, which are still very much powerful to this day. The Rockefellers went in there, but it also comes to people like BlackRock.
Bitcoin, crypto, morning tea. Hey. Good morning, everybody. My name's pianomattyb. That is Scaramucci's. This is your morning TA. A brief glimpse into the crypto markets, where the sun's shining, where the wind's blowing. All the humble opinion of this piano Zamboni, bringing the data. The FOMO index has inched up to 54 from yesterday's 49. Bitcoin dominance is 56.8%. 24-hour volume is 90 billion. The overall market cap, 2.21 trillion. Give or take 100 million. Well, one thing's for sure, it's been a pretty decent couple weeks. In fact, we've seen a 22% bump in the last 2 weeks. It's hard to believe, but 2 weeks ago at this time, we were scraping underneath the couch for change down at 52.6. Since then, we've had a pretty consistent pump, even peaking out yesterday at 64.1 and has simmered down to a time of production 63.4. Now, under normal market conditions, it wouldn't surprise me to see us keep simmering down to retest this channel of eternal monotony support down at 61.6 and kiss the 20 moving average right in the old chops, then return back up. And the only reason I say this is on the noisy little so-and-so, the 4-hour chart, we are in oversold territory on both the MACD and the RSI. If we zoom way out to the beginning of this epic and boring channel, we can see that we are at the usual points in these indicators cycle that we see a retracement. But if you squint your eyes, you can see every time we tap this level, we didn't immediately go down. We usually put in another high before we ran out of steam. Now over on the ding dong, you can see we did throw a 30-year-old drunken birthday girl wick up and over the 200 moving average, which is all good and all, but not enough. We know we have to start closing candles above the 200 before we can really put on our bullish chapeau, but what I'm thinking is we continue our rally up and over the 200 and retest our channel of eternal monotony's resistance way up at 68K. Check that higher high box, and then we see that retracement back down based on the oversold RSI and MACD on the 4-hour chart. Quick look at the Wookiee sees our stay green price for the week is way down at 59K. My guy, please tell me we can muster enough bullish prowess to stay above 59K by Sunday's close. What I'd like to see is price action close this week's candle at or above this channel of eternal monotony's resistance at 65.3. I could even see us throwing up a 30-year-old drunken birthday girl wick at the 23.6% fib at 5.7, and then retracing slightly, but that would give us a higher high on the weekly, which we haven't seen since the beginning of August, and it would carve out 2 green weekly candles in a row. And you might say, well, pianomattyb, 2 green candles in a row ain't no big whoop. But if you can believe it, we've only seen it 2 other times since March, right here and here. And both were followed by a substantial dump, but maybe, just maybe, this is the pivot in this channel. This is where we not only see 2 green candles in a row, but 3 and then 4, and then we're at all-time highs and out of this 6-month channel, and then it's up, up, and away. And would you look at that, my friends? The sun's up. It's another beautiful day here on Planet Earth Day. None of us are guaranteed. We're not guaranteed these days, but we're lucky enough to have them anyway. So get out there, knock 'em dead, and remember, we're playing the same game as our psychopathic elected leads. That's right, it's the long game. So zoom out and have a fantastic day. And we'll be going live right away, so grab yourself a coffee. Join me for a quick one, and it's Friday, so why not sing me out, won't you? I'll run the banks of boom dash bang. Whoa. Cha-cha-cha-ching. Now, to put it into perspective, I know it sounded, oh my God, how dare you say 61K? This is the 4-hour chart. She's a noisy little so-and-so. And here I put up some fibs just so we can see what some possible bounces are. First, the 23.6 at 62.7. That'd be a healthy bounce. And of course, 38.2% fib, my favorite fib, down at 62K. And holy smokes. It's Misco, and it's 5 for Friday. Thank you, Misco, the Oprah Winfrey of this channel. Shadow Chaser, Angie Doso, Shell Shitty Blues, Amy City Bulls, Amy Loves Crypto, all set in Cinco land. Oliver Seppian, Mingo, Misco Mingo's my cat. Misco, 5 for Friday. Thank you very much, buddy. Much appreciated helping this channel build one subscription at a time. 38.2% fib down here. Thanks again, Misco. And then, of course, look at that. This channel of Eternal Monotony's support is down at 61K. So we have, double bearish word score in there. But don't believe me. I mean, ask Druth. Druth knows.
What up?
What up, my
man? Oh, here, let me turn my thing so you
One
can
second.
see.
Holy,
chasing me.
Johnny December down in Belize. I know you and Drew will get demonetized. Here's a few bucks for the Bitcoin conference in 2025. Happy Friday from the caves of Belize.
Yeah, you didn't even tell me this was a Friday freak off either, bro. Like, I come in here, I click on the title. Oh my God, there's baby oil everywhere.
I think it's always going to be a Friday freak off from now. I can't believe, to me, when I heard that name being repeated, I'm like, oh, here's the psyop. Once you hear that a weird thing more than 3 times in one little delivery from the lamestream media, there's a psyop going on. Freak off. Like, who would ever double down on the term freak off, in a news thing? It's crazy.
Oh, this world is so dark these days. Yeah, I was really liking listening to your fib level targets. My target, as I'm not currently in a trade, I did get that trade. I caught 59.5, rode it to about 61K, made a great move on my entire bag. About 40% of my trading bag. I did not take a short. I'm terrified to short this market, man. It's looking feisty, but I am seeing we're down to what, 62,000, just about 62.9 right now.
Yeah, we lost 63K.
Just now, and I am watching pretty closely to see if we can get to that $62,000 shelf that we were recently on. I mean, I am seeing what you were highlighting there at 62.7 for sure. But yeah,
62K
really
is the 38.2% fib. That's under normal market conditions. She likes to bounce there.
Yeah, and the big question in my mind still left on how or if we fill that CME gap at $54,000 that's still sitting there. I'm looking at the Bank of Japan release. It looks like the Bank of Japan is holding their interest rates.
Okay.
So they're not raising, nor are they lowering the interest rates. Their interest rates are pretty darn low. That attracted a bunch of new investors after that yen carry trade debacle got us down to 49K. Really, I think we got away with without a massive pullback. Seeing this information come out this morning, it's kind of an under talked about subject matter, but it was one of those kind of sneaky dark horses that might have the potential to get us down lower. It looks like that's gone away, so I am really just looking for any real true sign of weakness on the charts to put in my next trade. But right now, we are getting mixed. Like the RSI is dead flat on the hour. The MACD overall moving averages are on the top side, but we are seeing some sell-offs right now. And there's a lot of open interest in longs currently. So I was looking at the open interest in longs yesterday, and a lot of traders are trying, like kind of late longs are coming in. And I am being really wary of a few $1,000 washout, or maybe $1,000 washout, to kind of shake those trades off of the books before this thing makes its next move. The 200 moving average that you were talking about, is that sitting there? Yeah, is that sitting right at 64? Because I feel like that's like our line in the sand.
Yeah,
if we recapture that. Okay, 64.1. The question is, I guess, for me as a trader and then everyone else looking at the charts, Matty B, do you think we're going to be able to capture that 64.1 spot this weekend, or is it just going to be another Sunday dump fest? I mean, it feels like every weekend they've been just kind of resetting the charts on us.
Well, I've been kind of droning on and on ad nauseum for weeks now about this 200 moving average, and as bullish as the past 2 weeks. So here's basically a look at the past 2 weeks right here. That's a bullish 14 days. However, it just gets us back to zero over the 200 moving average. I mean, as far as any bull run's concerned, any respectable bull run's concerned, you got to be over the 200 moving average on the ding dong, the daily chart, or else what are we talking about? So this is, it's bullish. We've had 2 weeks of increased price action, which I'll take. It's nothing to nothing to poo-poo, but we got to be above this 200 moving average. Look at the last time we were above it. When was this? This was August 26th. So it's not too far back, but still, I mean, besides these 3 days in August, we were under it all the way back here in the beginning of August. So since August and the summer bummer ended, we've I'm hoping this little arbitrary doodle I drew will stay as the pivot point of this kind of leg down consolidation of the 6 months. Do you think with the Japan carry trade staying with the interest rates staying as they are, was that the catalyst for the September real dump? Because I feel like we are almost PTSD when it comes to Rectember, and we had a little bit of a dump, but it wasn't like a massive dump. And currently, like when we look at the weekly chart or the monthly chart, that's September. I mean,
that's a pretty good month. That's a pretty good month.
Especially for the worst month of the year. That's pretty good.
Well, and like DZ was looking at it yesterday with me on Discover Crypto. And, when we do print these green Septembers, it's usually followed up by a lot of green months afterwards. Oh, yeah. So that is something I'm definitely keeping in mind. the yen carry trade situation, in my opinion, was the catalyst for us getting down to 49K for a moment in time. Um, and that's why I was kind of watching that pretty closely. I'm going to be watching the next meetings. I don't have the exact date pinned down on when the next Bank of Japan meeting is. But traders on Wall Street and in the Japanese markets are going to be arbitraging the current low interest rates in the Bank of Japan and continually, investing in there until those rates do increase. But that raises the question now. The United States has just had its first rate cut in a very, very long time. So it's been a lot of beatings, and we saw 50 base points, which surprised me because that shows extreme weakness within the actual economic situation in the United States. And it shows incorrect action and kind of an overcorrection by the Federal Reserve in trying to stave off the new definition of a recession, right? It's incredible how we're operating.
Whatever that is.
We're not in a recession. We're not in a recession. Like the average middle class and lower class people are absolutely in a recession right now.
Mm-hmm.
It is such a psyop for us to sit here and accept that we're not in a recession, and the Psalm rule doesn't highlight we're in a recession, any of those things. So it's just an interesting time frame. And one thing that I am seeing that's popping off in my brain immediately as I saw Bitcoin recapture the 63 mark for a moment there is some of my favorite altcoins are massive, massive gainers. And I'm starting to see less pain in the altcoin sector for good projects. And I feel like that's because we're getting closer and closer to that November historical time frame. About 231 days on the mark after the halving, Bitcoin dominance really falls off of a cliff. And I think we're getting very, very close to that time frame. And I'm starting to see the altcoins act in a more aggressive and stronger manner amidst the Bitcoin pullbacks. Because it was, a few months ago, Bitcoin lost 2%. These alts would lose 12, 15%. You know what I mean? Now we're looking at, just for one instance, like Bitensor Tau, one of the best AI projects out there. This thing is up by 43% on the week. And this thing, along with Jupiter, along with Aave, a lot of my kind of like favorite altcoins are looking very aggressive in comparison to the rest of the market. We got Bitcoin now ticking into the red here. Let's see if I can show. Finally ticking into the red. So, we are officially having a red day so far today. But my altcoins are up huge right now. So I'm pretty happy to see that happening right now. And, really for Bitcoin, I think that we're going to be just fine. I am honestly kind of hopeful that we get another washout down to 61, 61, 62 range. I like the volatility for trading, and I had a lot of fun trading the upswing from 52 recently. And now I'm sitting here questioning if we're going to actually be able to fill that CME gap at 54, because that's a big, big pullback. That breaks some of the local fibs, and then that would really shake a lot of people's confidence. I feel like the final punch in the gut before you get through the year, which, the market's not opposed to doing by any means. But, I really, really feel like,
is your hodl bag packed, or are you do you have a hodl bag that's like, this is my long term, I don't touch it, and this is my current trading bag? How does it work?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So my hodl bag is heavily weighted in Chainlink. The average entry for my Chainlink hodl bag is around $4. And I secondarily hold Aerodrome is actually the second biggest holding of mine. Aerodrome Finance, it's within the Base ecosystem. It absorbed 80% of the volume of the wrapped Bitcoin that Coinbase recently rolled out with the CBBTC product. It brings Bitcoin to Ethereum and the Base chain primarily. And I've had this thesis about Base chain for quite some time that it will be the BNB of this cycle. And the thesis of that stems from seeing the Department of Justice and other American regulatory agencies taking aim at Binance rather than Coinbase, essentially clearing the road for Coinbase to roll out its own blockchain ecosystem, which is Base. It's powered by Optimism, OP token. And I saw them scoot CZ out of the way, slap a 4-month sentence on him, and open the gates for Base. And now what I see is Coinbase is custodying some of the largest piles of Bitcoin on the planet at this point through these BlackRock ETFs, Fidelity ETFs, the whole gamut. A vast majority of them are being held by Coinbase. So I really, really feel like what we saw is Binance be attacked by state agencies to make way for Base Chain. And I think that's where they're going to be rolling out this RWA action. I think that that's where they're going to actually tangibly roll out DeFi for Bitcoin. And, you know, it's a crazy theory that I have, but so far it's been working pretty darn well.
Yeah, I
And
can paint that
yeah.
picture too, because as BlackRock moves in, it's like, well, what's this huge Bitcoin holder Binance doing? What's this CZ
Mhm.
guy doing? He's not under our thumb.
Not
Yeah,
controllable.
let's send him
Yeah.
to jail. Put him in jail, and
Yeah.
we'll maybe everyone will think Binance is a quirky company, and then we'll dump all the Bitcoins into this beautiful Coinbase honeypot.
Absolutely. And that's what I think is happening right now. And, you know, it's honestly being captured by TradFi is bearish for the ethos of Bitcoin. And a lot of the transactions, they're now being done in a traditional finance way where they go into the back room and they handle it off chain. And then they move the assets on chain after they settle, first and foremost. So there is a little bit of room for arbitrage down the road. And I don't think BlackRock is tricking us on those buys yet, but I am weary of how this might pan out at the end of 2025, beginning of 2026. I absolutely do believe in bear markets as well as bull markets in the 4-year cycle. And you know, that's essentially half of the reason why I've put my trading hat back on, because now my spot bags have been built up reasonably well. I am going to continue buying spot for my hodl bag up until the end of this year, right about. But you know, trading for me, I currently am in the season where I'm not going to short. I'm going to long levels of support. And then come mid 2025, end of 2025, I'm going to be looking for fake out pumps and attempts at recapturing what was accomplished as the all-time high and shorting the market. So that's how I'm going to be operating off of
Yeah,
this market. You know, it's
shorting
just
in a
how I got
bull
to play it.
market. I mean, if there's anything
Dangerous.
anyone can take away from, if there's one piece of advice, is that generally you don't want to shorten a bull market. I mean, if you go to a craps table, there's always someone, rolling for 7 and 11, but he basically they'll lose their shirt by the time the rolls are over. So, I mean,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And even with all the indicators pointing to a short being reasonable, if you
mhm.
are in a historically accurate bull market as far as the 4-year cycle goes, metrics mean less and less. And also now we have TradFi, and we are literally beholden to the movements of these central banks to a very tangible way. And that is indisputable. Not only with the Fed rate hike or cuts that we've seen jackknife the price up and down, but also we're moving alongside Wall Street, you know, and we haven't been able to detether ourselves from Wall Street. We've actually become more married into them. And one of the largest stable coins out there in crypto dropped by like 13% overnight because a bank went under. I think it was SVB. Ooh, what do we got?
We got a super chat over on the Rumble channel. The Mercat, he says, liked on YouTube and Rumble, both been watching for years, but can't seem to super chat on YouTube. Doesn't surprise me. YouTube doesn't really like crypto in the end, does it? Thank you very much for
Not
the
only
super
does
chat, Mercat.
yeah, dude, not only does it not like crypto, it doesn't like people, I think, like me and you. I think you know, we've been banned for talking about good food, even as crazy as it may seem. And shout out to
Yeah.
everyone that's watching. We got hundreds of people watching right now. Really appreciate you guys joining us on a Friday. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a beautiful moment in the cycle. And someone mentioned in the chat 49 James Coulter and 49K now seems like a gift buying opportunity. You're darn right. You're darn right. And I definitely took advantage of it to the best degree. You know, dry powder, it's always a battle to come up with, you know, as you get closer and closer to the end of the year. I got to start thinking about Christmas and all these other things going on. But thankfully, my wife has found an awesome job, so we're really excited to start putting those paychecks
It's going to be a
towards
good
the market.
Christmas.
That's right, man. That is right. I'm really excited about it. You know, and with all the profits I took from the April pump, they're all back into my real estate. I've just leaned into building out more infrastructure on the house and adding some equity there, and got a vehicle out of the deal. So the April pump, I definitely paid myself for being a part of. And it's always healthy to take profits, even if they are just a 5X, right? You still 5X your bag. Just a 5X, you know? You know, because at the time frame, everyone's snapping pictures of their cell phone. They're like, look, this thing's going to go another, you know, 1,000% up, and I'm going to be super, super rich by then. It just goes to show having a baseline process and mindset of what levels you want to take profits at is very, very important.
Yeah, sometimes, you know, in this community and in this timeline, we forget how incredibly early we all are. You know, we're all sitting here waiting for these bags to go to the moon. But we're going to look back, you know, in 2 cycles from now, and it's going to be hilarious how we were sitting here in this institutionally driven bull run, wondering when the price is going to go up. I feel like, you know, those videos where you see in 2013 where the guy's like, oh my God, it's $100. I can't believe it. Everyone's telling me I should sell. I'm going to hold it. You know, and everyone's like, what a absolute hero, right? We are basically in that timeline now. We just don't know it. You know, 8 years from now, we'll be looking at, we'll be saying, oh my God, look how young we looked. We're wondering.
Well, we're in crypto, we're kind of used to this AI narrative, and we're used to BlackRock and these trillions of dollars. It's funny how we've been kind of numb to this. Just to highlight and reiterate, Microsoft and BlackRock put together a $30 billion starter package to begin the AI infrastructure rollout. Okay, so their starter pack for getting AI infrastructure and data centers rolling is $30 billion. And these are 2 of the biggest organizations on the planet.
Starter pack.
The most power. Starter pack, you know what I mean? And this is just getting started. We even saw news that I highlighted, we covered on my show today, but, you know, I might as well bring it up here as well. BlackRock is also tangibly conversating what it would look like to solve the $33 trillion US dollar debt with Bitcoin investment over a multi-decade time frame. So it's not like a quick hammer in and wait till we 2x this bag and then dump the entire Bitcoin bag on the rest of the world approach. This is all stemming from the ideas of Cynthia Loomis out of Wyoming, who rolled out the Bitcoin Act, where the U.S. government would be laddering into Bitcoin and holding it over decades timeframes to stave off not only the inflation, but the debt crisis that we are tangibly in the United States. And it does have that small inch of hope. I almost want to feel hopeful about it. But I am very cautiously optimistic about this, you know, happening this bull market. But I know long term, we're looking at the right asset class. We're looking at the right technology class. That is the next .com explosion. You know, I feel very, very strongly about that.
It's almost beware of what you wish for, because like, follow me on this complete delusion. But if the best case scenario happened for Bitcoin and it was the fixer of the world's debt problem, everyone realized, well, this is the hardest, soundest money we've ever had. So, you know what? I'm getting out of art. I'm getting out of real estate. I'm just going to put it all into Bitcoin. And we see that, you know, 10 trillion, 20 trillion market cap for Bitcoin. People like you and I, or anyone in this community with Bitcoin, why I say you and I is that I don't think we could be doing this anymore. If people knew you had exposure to enough Bitcoin and
Yeah.
it goes exponentially up into the millions. You basically disappear for your own safety. I know you've got your own bunker, so you're good where you are, but I would
I
probably
don't.
move.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a bunker. I do have a bunch of tripwires and cameras in the trees and a couple special spots, and don't want to step there. But essentially, you're right. I am putting my neck out there talking about these concepts decades before they happen. But I feel like the people deserve to hear what's actually coming instead of this whole narrative of we're not in a recession and save your money, guys. We're going to get back to normal here soon. Don't worry. What I actually see happening is the economy is going to go into an absolute dumpster fire in 2026. Commercial real estate valuations for a large amount of office spaces and restaurants are going to drag hundreds, if not thousands, of banks into bankruptcy. And with that, we never think about it, but a restaurant's value is derived from its profitability that it can make. If the average person is now looking at restaurants or fast food as a luxury item at our current level, with rates being cut and honestly sitting here around 6%, what do you think things are going to look like if they admit we're actually in stagflation a year and a half from now? If we are on path for stagflation, if anyone wants to look at that, look at a comparison of the CPI data year over year from 1970 to 1980. It's actually 1968 to 1982, the particular time frames. They overlap with our current 15-year process in a very concise manner. We're seeing people not want to purchase overpriced brand new vehicles. We see inventories exploding for housing, vehicles, all of it. And I agree with Big G Money. We're in it. It's about when they admit that we're in it, when the powers that be admit that we're in it, because there will be a breaking point. And if we do follow that same process, home mortgage rates will go up to 18% on a $500,000 home. And the middle and lower class will never have a chance to get in. So this is a very, honestly, pretty dire time frame to position and take advantage of the technologies that are going to go parabolic and buy up hard assets when we do reach that moment for stagflationary pressure in the markets. Because I feel like we'll be like what Nancy Pelosi is doing. She's positioning herself to purchase the blood on the streets of San Francisco in commercial real estate. She's positioning herself to buy up all of these useless empty buildings and reposition themselves. And honestly, what we see with the immigration is that those people are going to be working for less, much less than the average American who would be willing to work for at a factory, manufacturing the food, and then automated systems delivering the food to a storefront that has maybe one person manning it. So, this is Demolition Man at the beginning, before the movie starts.
Do you think they to avoid the revolution, do you think they have a concept of, well, before the shit actually hits the fan and we start seeing the revolt, is that where Bitcoin comes in and kind of saves the day? They just move the assets in there and it's, they avoid if they get that revolution, it's over. The whole thing crumbles.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're kind of still far away from a consciousness that's willing and able to go into that mindset mode.
Yeah.
I think that they're going to have to be pushed lower under the water. The bouncy ball has to be pulled further under the water. Right now, we're about like maybe a foot, half a foot under the water. I think 2026, 2027, when the average person can't even afford clean water anymore, I think that's when people really start to wake up and make that actual movement. I do think it's coming, and for Bitcoin to replace the system, I'm looking at 2030 and beyond for that. I see someone asking assuming I don't have kids. I actually have 4 kids. I have a lot of kids, so lots of reasons for me to be defending that land. But yeah, this is why, and I didn't take this situation so seriously when I was a heavy metal singer for all those years, because I didn't have a family, I didn't have a wife, I didn't have a bunch of kids, I didn't have a mortgage or a large infrastructure to hold together. And I really am at that point. I'm an old man-ish now. I'm 36 years old. And I see the writing on the wall, and I need to put as many small homes together as I can for my children, first and foremost, but also need to produce a money creation stream for myself and my wife and my family. And that can be through me just learning the charts, understanding upcoming technology, and really not trying to tether my existence and my value into some corporation that would be posting for my job to be filled a week after my death, should it happen. I am, when flu season happened, it really opened my eyes. It was a company I helped build from the ground up. It's a 5-person operation that was pulling in $6 million a year, and they let me go because I wouldn't get the jab. And it just showed me how little these corporations actually care about the people that help build them off of their own backs. And so I took the responsibility on myself ever since then, growing as much food as I can for myself, taking the security of my family on my own shoulders, and taking control of our financial future instead of just listening to the powers that be. Save your money, keep your head low. We're going to bring it back to normal, guys. Keep going to your job. I've definitely learned my lesson over the past 4 years, and I've been a skeptic. I wrote about flu season in 2014, so I was well prepared for it when it did come. And instead of going and buying toilet paper, I moved my life savings into Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, and regrettably XRP. I got it for 17 cents, so I didn't lose out on that trade. But man, that has been the biggest blue ball trade of my life. So, I'm happy to have found new ventures in that. And, if we're the XRP people that are out there holding it, consider looking at the stock Ripple. Ripple's technology is actually what I think is going to be utilized much more heavily than the token XRP in the future. So
make sure you like